Hi there, everyone, and welcome to the Nightly News. I'm Jackie Foston. Let's get to our top story today. Earlier in the month, a petition was sent out by a Furman student, Asha Marie, who was fighting to change one of SGA's bylaws regarding whom is eligible to run for student body president. Here is Hadley Robbins with the story.
I sat down with Asha and Furman's current student body president, Griffin Mills, and here's what they had to say about the petition and the vote.
Our Constitution has a clause in it that says to be the student body president, you have to have 1 year experience on council in any form. You could have been a representative or a class rep.
Asha Marie is a junior at Furman this year. With a passion for speaking up, she is currently studying her own created major in advocacy and justice studies.
Why am I not qualified enough to be able to do this work when I've been a student leader on campus for 3 years now?
When Asha figured out she wasn't eligible to run for student body president, she decided she was going to create a petition and change that.
Less than 48 hours, we had enough signatures to move to a student body vote. So it was crazy.
Voting opened February 8th and closed February 10th. With 20% of the student body voting yes, the clause was changed.
You have to have 1 year experience in SGA, or you were the president of another club, or you have 2 years leadership experience in something like a housing staff or orientation staff.
That's like 200 plus presidents that now can run because they're in leadership positions. They have shown that they are dedicated to making a change at the school, to being a leader for their communities.
The first preliminary election for student body president is at the beginning of March, so stay tuned for that. And hey, maybe you can run too. Back to you, Jackie.
Thanks, Hadley. We here at the Nightly News will keep you posted on all of those upcoming elections. For those of you who still need to get some CLPs, here's what's coming up within the next week. Friday at 12:30, there is a military intelligence and modern world event, and Tuesday there are 3 opportunities starting at 4 p.m. with race, gender, and class and entrepreneurship, followed by Tocqueville lecture at 5 p.m., and at 8 p.m. the CLP titled Anonymous will finish the night. Many colleges in America are attempting to become more diverse and have more inclusivity among their student population. Our Anthony Zito looked into how Furman is working to become more inclusive.
Thanks, Jackie. There have been a number of positions and committees dedicated to try and further diversity and inclusivity on campus. I decided to take a look.
I spoke with Kwame Bethea about what campus used to look like, and this is what he had to say.
Just with the Seeking Abraham report, I know my first year coming in, seeing the university, coming to terms with its history and slavery, that meant a lot. The incidents with Black Lives Matters and seeing the incidents with George Floyd and police shootings, seeing the university's response with that, with the creation of the Black at Furman Ad Hoc Committee, and seeing that work, and, seeing those recommendations and being a part of that and being able to sit down with the university and say, we're focusing not only on diversity, but also inclusion and representation matters. And also just seeing those recommendations, the things that came out with renaming of Lakeside Housing as Clark Murphy Housing Complex. And now with the statue being, put in front of the library steps of Joseph Vaughn, I think that's something that means a lot to students there, is having that representation and feeling represented on campus so that you can feel welcome.
The Strategic Diversity Plan found on the Furman website informs a community of the goals, beliefs, and values that the school is trying to implement. The first 2 goals involve improving the recruitment, retention, and advancement of students and faculty of underrepresented communities. They then hope to support excellence inside and outside the classroom. Lastly, Furman wants to engage with alumni to encourage the pursuit of excellence beyond campus. The report then further explains how its objectives will achieve the goals set. I spoke with Dr. Allison Brown about what she hopes the future holds.
For diversity and inclusion is not revered as, oh, well, that's just for the Black students. Oh, well, that's just for our Hispanic students. Because it's not. It's truly for all of us. The world in which we live and the country in which we live is naturally made of a lot of different people. But just personally, it would just be nice, for it not to be such a thing to talk about in respective spaces across campus.
Reporting live, Anthony Zito.
Thanks, Anthony. For more information on the Strategic Diversity Plan, please visit www.furman.edu. Here's a look at this week's COVID numbers. With 50% of the campus tested last week, 18 tests came back positive. That's a 0.66% positivity rate. We have changed from code orange to code yellow, but we are not out of the woods quite yet, so don't forget to socially distance and wear your masks. It is no secret that there is a lot going on around the lake this semester. Here at the Nightly News, our very own Raleigh Cothran dove in to get all of the details.
I'm out here at Furman Lake to discover what exactly is going on here. As I'm sure many of you have noticed, there's a lot taking place within the waters around the bell tower, and that's actually because the lake is in the process of being dredged. That means that they're cleaning out all of the built-up silt and sediment at the bottom of the lake. This process is pretty rigorous, and we're not exactly sure how long it's going to take. I spoke with Scott Sherman, who's the Director of Campus Planning, earlier this week.
I've been intimately involved in getting the lake dredged for more than 10 years, actually. We added aerators to the lake, so the boils that you see add oxygen into the water column. And we also have, during much of the year, lake treatment done to keep the colony, I guess, of algae at bay. And that has cleaned up the water significantly. The material that's coming out of the lake, it's going through a pipe, and we're going to take that material. It fills those geobags. It will eventually fill 4.5 to 5 of those large bags. And, it's just water that's come out of the lake. It's going right back to the lake. So, and then we will eventually cut the bags open and get a skid steer up there or a small bulldozer and grade that off. It'll still be kind of a grassy knoll, and we're going to seed it, and it'll be turf grass from here forward. So the silt, which has come into the lake over the last 60 whatever years, is going to go back up on dry land, and it'll help us create a grassy area for recreation or whatever. I can't imagine we won't be finished before the end of the semester. We had hoped to be finished with the actual bags by the end of this month, but it looks to me like it's probably going to be more like the end of March.
This has been Raleigh Cothran reporting for Nightly News. Back to you.
Thanks for getting your feet wet out there, Raleigh. As you came into campus this week, you might have noticed that the Furman sign on Poinsett Highway was knocked down. It turns out during the snowfall, a student was coming back to campus around 1:45 a.m. and lost control of the car due to the snowy, wet conditions. The sign was demolished in the accident. Luckily, no one was hurt or charged in the incident, but FUPO tells us it will cost around $12,000 to fix the sign. It's February, meaning Black History Month is in full swing. I talked to a few really cool local Black-owned businesses that Furman students can support this semester. Let's take a look. Known for their grits and incredible biscuits, the Flying Biscuit is a great eclectic restaurant for Furman students to support Black-owned this semester. Summer Lee, owner and operator of the Flying Biscuit, opened this franchise 8 years ago after searching for healthy alternatives to Southern breakfast foods.
I honestly think that if you love a business, no matter who owns it, then you should support it right now because everybody needs that support. But the fact that hasn't always been a level playing ground, I've sort of pulled for the underdog. So I think that people should definitely support people who didn't start with a leg up. So we have great customer service. You're going to get delicious, flavorful food. A very decent portion of it, and then the ambiance and the atmosphere. It's the whole experience. It's not just the food.
Wine and Design is a relatively new concept. It's where people can listen to music, drink wine, and enjoy a painting class. This Wine and Design was acquired 2 years ago by Timothy Cunningham. He wanted to change the vibe of the industry and provide a place where people felt like family the minute they walked in.
And I was like, I'm going to buy that place one day. It touched my heart. So I bought it and we made it ours. So me and my wife, Marissa, we bought it and we just put our taste on it and everybody received it. Well, it's significant during Black History Month to support them, also to go talk to them and go meet them and learn their stories and things like that. It's a known thing. It's built into the nation that it's very tough for minorities to get bank loans, to get business loans, to get a business put in certain areas of their communities. So when you have a minority or Black-owned business put into anywhere close to you where you do your daily thing and where you hang out, I say always go check them out and support them.
Honestly, heading to Flying Biscuit in the morning and Wine and Design in the evening sounds like my ideal day. Furman students, be sure to check them out. In FUSAB news, you can join in a game of tag this week. It's a friendly campus-wide game of assassin. In order to keep the tradition COVID-friendly, FUSAB is using silly string rather than contact to maintain 6 feet between participants. So if you see silly string everywhere, now you know why. Coming up next week, we have a vintage poster giveaway in Trone on the 23rd and an in-person version of the viral video game Among Us on the 25th. In our news segment, Did You Know?, we want to shed light on people we think are interesting. Today is Amanda Gorman. At just 22 years old, Gorman is the youngest poet to deliver a speech at the inaugural address and the first person to be named National Youth Poet Laureate. Did you know that she also started a nonprofit called One Pen, One Page? She also became a United Nations Youth Delegate and has future plans of running for president in 2036. Paladins, here's a way you can give back. Donate a can of peanut butter to Harvest Hope Food Bank for their Spread the Love Peanut Butter Drive. All you need to do is drop off a can at the nearest location, which for us is on White Horse Road here in Greenville. Or you can do it remotely through Harvest Hope's Amazon wish list. But you can donate cash too. If you donate $15, that buys 8 jars of peanut butter that will help them towards their 1,000 jar goal. To do so, visit their website at www.harvesthope.org. So let's do some good, Paladins. With 13 teams playing this spring, there is a lot going on with Furman athletics. Jaria Ottoman has a look at our sports this week.
Yes, Jackie. Furman athletics are in full swing for their spring season. There are so many things to highlight this week, but I want to start by honoring Black History Month. I spoke with men's basketball assistant coach Tim Johnson. Here's his story.
Slauson one-handed jam.
If you're given the opportunity to impact people, that's a pretty cool deal. I don't really consider this a job. I consider it a privilege, but also a great responsibility.
Since Coach Johnson is one of the Furman men's basketball assistant coaches, he spends a lot of time here on the sidelines, passing on his knowledge. But he also feels he has a responsibility to his community too.
It's imperative that we have minority representation in leadership positions that move with a certain way, because just without us saying anything, our very presence is going to be the reason that kids aspire to be what we are. And so we just have to make sure that what we are is something they can aspire to be.
It is hard to find that representation when it's a challenge itself to be Black in America. But through the difficulties, African Americans still find a way to overcome.
We have made a lot of progress, but I think it's important as a people not to mistake progress for completion.
Mike Bothwell has played with Coach Johnson for 2 years.
Affects our team's defense with a lot of pride and a lot of strategy and a lot of skill work. They also has been big time and just helping me mold into a better man. He's one of the 2 African American coaches we have on our staff, so it's really like a big brother.
It is good to see Coach Johnson making an impact in a positive way, but we need more of it, and it starts with constant conversations and highlighting inspiring people like Coach Johnson, even after Black History Month. Thank you, Coach Johnson, for not only helping our Dens become better basketball players, but also helping them become better men for our world. Missed this action with the Dens? Played last Saturday? Don't worry, Cole Nilly has you covered with highlights and the player of the game.
An incredible bounce-back win this past Saturday when the Furman Paladins took on Western Carolina. Our men's team came ready to roll. It led to a decisive victory of 88-70. The Paladins got going thanks to the efforts of Noah Gurley. Gurley led the team with 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists. Gurley reined in 66% of his threes to help win the game. I caught up with Gurley to talk with him about his performance and what it meant to him and his team.
I think it taught me a lot of lessons that if I play the game the right way, share the wealth, just the paradox of the game is going to come back around to you in some form and fashion.
This win comes on the heels of the heartbreaking loss against UNCG last Wednesday.
We didn't let the ball stick at all. It was we call it 0 seconds basketball. When you get the ball, you either shoot, drive, or pass it. And that's how everybody played today, which is why we had so many different scores.
So what has helped the men's team be more focused this season? Well, Gurley tells me it's unity. That's what makes them more efficient and more confident.
That's the most important one. Like I said earlier, just depending on each other, showing trust.
Next game will be at home against Sanford University. You can watch this game on ESPN Plus, or if you have Furman Cable, you can see it on Channel 8. This is Cole Neely, Nightly News. Back to you, Jaria.
Thanks, Cole. Looking forward to seeing who will be our next player of the week. The NCAA has granted an extra year eligibility for athletes who missed a year of competition in their respective sport. Senior women's lacrosse players shared their plans on how they intend to use their extra year of eligibility.
My assistant coach, Aaron Fitzgerald, was like, I definitely think that you should take another year, especially if you can go get your master's somewhere. So she kind of helped me through that whole process and really helped me decide that I wanted to do it.
So I had started planning since I got home, looking at a bunch of grad programs that I liked, and I ended up finding LIU, which is Long Island University. It's a very comforting feeling to go there where I know a lot of people.
Let's recap sports last week. Women's lacrosse is 0-2 as they lost 16-14 against Eastern Carolina and 14-10 against Davidson. Women's tennis beat Virginia Tech 4-1 on Saturday, but fell to Marshall 4-3 on Sunday. Women's basketball played 2 games against UNC Greensboro, unfortunately coming up short in both with scores 58-50 and 62-56. Men's tennis also lost this weekend to Duke 7-0. Men's basketball, however, crushed Western Carolina 88-70. Men's soccer also pulled off a win last week, beating UNC Asheville 2-0. Softball fell short against UNC Greensboro this weekend with a score of 12-4. Now that you're all caught up, let's look ahead into this week. This week is a big week for Furman sports at home. Starting on February 18th, men's and women's tennis compete at 3 p.m., followed by women's basketball playing Western Carolina at 7 p.m. On Saturday, Furman football takes on Western Carolina at 2 p.m. for their season opener, and softball hosts a doubleheader at 2:30 and 5 p.m. Sunday morning starts at 9 a.m. as softball plays against Marshall. Men's tennis will take on UNCG at 1 p.m., followed by women basketball at 2 p.m. versus Western Carolina. To end the night, men's soccer takes on South Carolina at 6 p.m. On Monday, February 22nd, men's basketball will play VMI at 7 p.m. Tuesday, you can catch women's tennis taking on Western Carolina at 3 p.m. And finally, Wednesday, February 24th, softball plays against South Carolina State at 3 p.m. And men's basketball closes the night at 7 p.m. as they take on the Citadel. Look forward to an action-packed week of Furman athletics and rep your Paladin pride. Jackie, back to you.
Thanks, Sharia. And remember, Paladins, we are now in code yellow, which means some of you can go to athletic events in person. But you better act fast to get your tickets, as we are still doing social distancing at the events. That does it for this week's Nightly News. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any story ideas for us, please contact one of our Nightly News crew. You will see our names in the credits. For now, we'll leave you with some views of our beautiful campus. Have a good week, everyone.